This space is made just for that. A soft corner of the universe where science speaks slowly and the stars never hurry. Tonight we begin a story that floats through time itself, not through ticking clocks or calendars, but by following the one thing that never grows old. If this calm journey helps you relax, I'd be grateful if you gave the video a soft like or considered subscribing. It helps others find their way here too. And if you'd like to share, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Maybe you're in a small village where the night is clear and full of stars, or a quiet apartment glowing with city lights. Maybe it's early morning, or maybe it's already deep into the hush of night. Wherever you are, you're part of this quiet journey now. So take a deep, easy breath. Let the pace of the world fade, because light the quiet traveller will follow doesn't rush. It moves fast, yes, but it never ages. It carries memories, not wrinkles. So close your eyes, if you like. Let your mind loosen its grip, and let us begin our slow journey into the life of something that never really lives, and yet never truly dies. You imagine a single beam of light, just one, born in the heart of a star. It slips free without sound, without effort, and begins its journey. It doesn't hesitate, it doesn't look back, and no matter how far it travels, it never grows tired, never slows down, never fades from itself. This is not motion as you know it. It is perfect constancy. Light doesn't stop, not in space, not in time, not in thought. It keeps going, not out of will, but because that's what it is. It is the traveller that never pauses. To you, motion takes energy. You walk, you run, you grow tired. Cars burn fuel, rockets shed fire. Everything that moves eventually stops, but light does not. Once it begins, it continues. It doesn't coast, it doesn't slow. There is no friction in space, no wind to push against, no ground to hold it back. A photon born in the fire of a star may fly for billions of years across the dark, never touching, never aging, and still arrive unchanged. You begin to wonder what kind of thing can move like that, what can last that long without eroding. The answer is hidden in the nature of light itself. Light is not a solid object. It is not a wave upon water. It is an electromagnetic ripple, a changing electric field that creates a magnetic field, which creates another electric field, and so on. It is self-propagating motion, a wave made only of space and energy, nothing more. That is why it never stops. There is nothing inside it to wear out, and light travels at one speed, always. It doesn't choose, it doesn't ramp up or slow down. In a vacuum, it moves at 299,792 kilometers per second. Not slower, not faster. No matter how fast you chase it, it pulls away just the same. It's not defiance, it's definition. Light doesn't follow the rule, it sets them. Its speed isn't just a number. It's a boundary written into the structure of space-time itself. A photon doesn't move through space, it carries space forward with it. Imagine riding alongside a beam of light, not looking at it from the outside but moving with it. What would you see? What would you feel? The strange answer is nothing. Time would stand still. The universe would flatten into a single plane. There would be no before, no after, no change. From the light's perspective, its entire journey, from the star where it was born to your eye where it ends, happens all at once. That is the mystery. Light moves through space, but not through time. It exists in motion, but outside duration. You begin to feel how strange this is. Everything you know lives in time. Flowers bloom, seasons pass, planets rotate, even mountains crumble given enough years, but light. Light escapes this flow. A photon that left the star before Earth was formed can still arrive today, completely untouched by the billions of years it crossed. To you the journey is long, but to the light no time has passed at all. It is as if the moment it left and the moment it arrived are the same. You start to sense that light is not just fast, it is timeless. This timelessness makes light a kind of memory. Everything you see in the night sky, every star, every galaxy, is a message from the past. The light reaching you now began its journey long ago. Some of it has travelled for millions, even billions of years. When you gaze upward, you are not seeing what is. You are seeing what was, and yet light changes the universe even as it remains unchanged. It warms planets, it drives photosynthesis, It forms the foundation of vision and colour. It communicates between atoms, guides spacecraft, and reveals the structure of galaxies. All this without ever touching, without ever slowing. Light is pure interaction without contact. It moves through the fabric of the cosmos not as a Thragberry passing through, but as a thread being woven. You begin to understand that light is not just a thing, it is a boundary, a line between the possible and the impossible. Nothing with mass can reach its speed. The faster you go, the more time slows for you, and the more energy you need. But light, having no mass, simply exists at the edge. It moves not just faster, as fast as anything can. This speed defines what can happen and when. It sets the structure of cause and effect, and in doing so, light becomes more than motion. It becomes law. The strange thing is, you can never catch up to light. No matter how fast you move, it will always be moving ahead of you at the same speed. Even if you launched a ship at 99.9% of the speed of light, light would still race ahead at full speed from your point of view. This isn't just a trick of perception. It's how reality works. The speed of light is constant for all observers, everywhere, always, and that constancy shapes how space and time bend, stretch, and behave. You begin to feel a kind of awe that something so constant could be so gentle, that something so fast could be so quiet. Light does not roar like rockets, it does not thunder like storms, and yet it touches every corner of the universe. It shows us what is, it tells us what was, it defines what can be, and it does all of this without slowing, without tiring, without aging. The light that leaves a star is not changed by distance. It does not grow dim from exhaustion, it remains pure. You think about the oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, still whispering across space. Light that has travelled for almost 14 billion years, cooled and stretched, but never stopped. It is not just a remnant, it is a survivor, a quiet witness to the birth of everything. And even that light, now soft and low, still carries the signature of its origin, still racing forward, still unaged. So you lie back, eyes closed, and imagine a beam of light passing overhead. You cannot hear it, you cannot feel it, you know it's there, moving through galaxies, crossing vast distances, slipping through time without touching it. It is the most consistent thing the universe has given you. It is not eternal, but it is timeless. It does not wait, and yet it never rushes. It moves on, always, and never stop. It is the traveller that tells time what to do, not the other way around, and it carries with it the shape of the universe itself. As you breathe slower and the world grows still, you remember, light never stops, and it never grows old, and through it, neither do the stories written in its glow. You trace the light backward, all the way to its beginning, not where it shines into your eye, but where it was born. And what you find is not peaceful. You find fire. The place where light begins is no calm dream. It's a star, and a star is fury. Deep in its core, pressure crushes atoms together. Hydrogen becomes helium. Energy erupts. And in this storm of fusion, light is born. Not as a flame, not as a glow, but as a photon, released in that first instant of collision, without mass, without rest, and without any future but motion. This light, this newborn photon, doesn't leave the star immediately. No, it bounces for thousands, even millions of years, trapped inside the glowing body that created it. A storm of particles, fields, collisions. Every second it's absorbed, re-emitted, redirected. It's like trying to escape a blizzard made of light. The photon doesn't travel straight. It wanders. It is born in fire, and for a long time it doesn't even know what free space feels like. But then finally it escapes. It bursts through the surface of the star into open space, into vacuum, into freedom. And in that moment, its life changes forever. From then on, it will never stop. Nothing will slow it. It will not bounce again. It will not age. It becomes the traveller you met in the first chapter, the beam that never fades. But you know now that it came from fire, from violence, from transformation. The light you see in the night sky, that soft glimmer overhead, it began in a place too hot to imagine, too bright to endure. Yet the photon carries none of that heat now. It has no memory of temperature, no weight, just the imprint of the energy it took with it. Light is strange this way. It is born in the heart of stars, but it does not burn. It brings warmth, but carries no warmth of its own. You can feel its heat when many photons arrive, yes, but each one by itself is timeless and cold. It is energy without aging. A pulse without pulse. It moves at the speed limit, and yet it is still in time. The moment it leaves the surface of the star, it becomes frozen, not in motion, but in its own experience of reality. Time no longer flows for it. Its journey through space is one long frozen instant. You try to imagine what that feels like. You can't. Because for you, time is constant. Even when it stretches, it still moves. But for light, once it escapes into space, its clock stops ticking. And so it moves forever, yet never takes a step. To us, it's crossing vast cosmic distances. But to the light, it's as if nothing has changed. The beginning and the end are the same point. That's what it means to move at light speed. You don't pass through time, you simply are always in motion, and yet always frozen. This contradiction, born in fire, frozen in motion, is the key to understanding what light really is. It is not a thing you can hold, not a particle you can stop, not a wave that fades. It is energy unleashed from matter, set free without mass, and once free, it is unbound. Because it has no mass, it cannot be slowed. Because it never stops, time does not touch it. And so it is, this strange entity, born in one moment of chaos, but untouched by all the time that follows. And the light that reaches you tonight, it may have been born before Earth had oceans, before life ever stirred. A photon from a galaxy far away may have travelled 10 billion years to find you. But for that photon, it was never a journey. Not really. It simply left. And now it arrives. The whole story from its side is just one breathless moment. That's what it means to be light. You begin in one place, and you arrive in another, but you never feel anything in between. Still, that light can tell you so much. From it you can learn what the star was made of, how hot it burned, how fast it spun. You can learn what gases filled the space it crossed. You can even tell how fast that galaxy is moving by how the light stretches as it travels. Redshift, blue shift, expansion. All this carried by a single photon, a frozen messenger launched long before you were born. It may never age, but it delivers history. That's the paradox you feel growing deeper in this chapter. Light is motion. Light is energy. Light is fire. But it carries none of time's burden of time. It delivers the past while never having one. It brings warmth while never feeling it. It moves through distance but never experiences it. Born in the most violent conditions the universe offers, and yet it floats, weightless, silent. Perfect, you remember that every light you've ever seen, candle flame, sunbeam, flicker on water, began in some miniature storm. A combustion, a reaction, a transfer. Even the glow of your screen comes from tiny changes in atoms, releasing photons one by one. All that fire, all that heat, and yet the light they send is unchanged by it. Each photon escapes, frozen in motion, never looking back. You think of stars as bright, alive and immortal. But they live, they burn, and then they die. Their light, however, keeps moving. Even after the star collapses, even after it vanishes into cold silence, its light continues on. Long after the fire is gone, the message of that fire still drifts outward. You might look at a star that's already dead, whose light is only now arriving. You're seeing something that no longer exists, and yet because light never stops, it still reaches you, and in that you begin to understand the strange power of light. It lets you see what no longer is. It bridges the gap between what has ended and what still remains. It carries no memories of its own, but it lets you remember. It does not age, but it lets you feel the passage of time. That everything you see was released in a burst of heat, only to float forever, untouched, unchanged, that in a universe ruled by time, light is the one traveller that carries none of it. You think of stars as bright, alive and immortal, but they live, they burn, and then they die. Their light, however, keeps moving. Even after the star collapses, Even after it vanishes into cold silence, its light continues on. Long after the fire is gone, the message of that fire still drifts outward. You might look at a star that's already dead, whose light is only now arriving. You're seeing something that no longer exists, and yet because light never stops, it still reaches you. And in that you begin to understand the strange power of light. It lets you see what no longer is. It bridges the gap between what has ended and what still remains. It carries no memories of its own, but it lets you remember. It does not age, but it lets you feel the passage of time. That everything you see was released in a burst of heat, only to float forever, untouched, unchanged. That in a universe ruled by time, light is the one traveller that carries none of it. It reminds you that fire can give birth to stillness, that motion can be frozen, that something so bright can move without ever feeling the dark. And as you drift into silence, you feel that paradox not as confusion, but as comfort. Light may come from chaos, but it brings only calm. It may be born in fire, but it glows with silence. And though it never stops, it never hurries, it passes through everything, galaxies, moments, thoughts, unchanging and unchanging. But if light experiences no time, what would the universe look like through its eyes? Can we even imagine what reality feels like to something that never pauses to feel it? You close your eyes and try to let go of time. Not just ignore it, but erase it. No seconds, no minutes, no aging, no waiting. Imagine yourself not as you are, but as something faster, lighter, ageless. Imagine becoming a photon. No weight, no mass, just energy and motion, free from delay. In that new shape, your world changes completely. You are not looking at light. You are light. You are the beam that moves but never slows. And now, as light, you open your eyes, not human eyes, but something broader, and try to see what the universe really looks like. And the first thing you realize is this: time is gone. There is no ticking, no delay, from the moment you're born in the core of a star to the moment you strike a telescope lens on Earth. Not even an instant passes. To someone watching from the outside, the journey takes centuries or millions of years. But to you, there is no journey, just a single seamless moment departure and arrival fused together. Space collapses into immediacy. You don't travel through the universe collapses to meet you. Now, distance begins to lose its meaning. What does it mean to cross 10 billion light years if you do it without time? What does a mile mean to something that never takes a step? You, as light, do not see the universe as a map. You see it as a taper of events, loosely stitched by energy. Places aren't far or near, they simply are. A star's edge and a black hole's rim exist on the same surface. Every point you reach is here now. Space is not something to cross. It is something that flows through you. Even the shapes around you shift. To beings who move slower, space appears wide, curved and expanding. But to you, the edges bend inward. You ride the boundary of space itself. As light, you no longer see a three-dimensional cosmos. You see a flattened, shimmering thread, a single timeline held between two fingertips. Everything in motion appears paused. Planets freeze mid-orbit. Explosions suspended in crystal stillness. Because you do not wait, you do not witness change. You see only the arrival, only the result of time, never the passage of it. And you don't see darkness, not the way humans do. You are the thing that fills the dark. Where others see empty space, you are already present. Every corner touched by light is alive with your presence. The glow of galaxies, the trace of distant stars, the background hum of the universe itself, all of it is you. Not reflected, not delayed, but always arriving. You see no delay between thought and effect. There is no before in your world. Every event you touch is immediate, still there is direction. While you are not slowed by time, you are carried by causality. You do not choose where to go. You travel forward, always. Your path is shaped by what inspires you and by what you strike. You cannot stop, cannot steer, cannot look back. Your vision is pure presence, and that presence includes everything the universe has made visible. Stars, planets, dust, shadow. You are what defines the visible, Without you, nothing could be seen. The human eye interprets light as colour, brightness and contrast. But as light you don't see colour. You are colour. Your wavelength is your identity. You stretch or compress depending on the motion of what receives you. Moving away, you become redder. Moving closer, you turn blue. Not because you choose, but because motion reshapes you. Every encounter leaves a fingerprint. And so, even though you do not age, you are altered. Not inside, but in how others see you. You see the marks of motion without feeling motion itself. You know the universe not as an explorer, but as a signal. You pass through gas, clouds, plasma, not noticing the push, not reacting to resistance. You slip between atoms untouched. You are the silent thread that weaves through matter without disturbing it. But when you finally meet something that absorbs you, a leaf, a stone, an eye, your journey ends. You are not destroyed. You are transformed. You become warmth, sight, insight, memory, light. You see everything, yet you do not watch. You are not a viewer. You are the event. A photon is not aware, but if it were, it would be aware of only now. All of time compresses to a single zero. No future, no past. And so the universe, through the eyes of light, is not a film, it is a painting. A still moment that includes everything, everywhere at once. You reflect on this now, returning to yourself, returning to time. The difference is dizzying. You are used to delay. You are built from it. Your life unfolds across minutes and days, months and years. Your memories are anchored in time's flow. But light holds no such record. It teaches by arrival, not by waiting. And yet despite all this difference, it is still the reason you see, know, understand. You begin to understand why light has always been a metaphor for thought, for revelation, because it is the closest thing you know to something that is real without weight, that moves without aging, that connects without touching. Light shows you a universe where speed replaces waiting, where presence replaces process, where the moment is everything. And this way of seeing it is not available to you directly. You cannot become light, but you can imagine, and in that imagining you gain something gentle, the sense that perhaps the world is more immediate than it seems, that distance is not forever, that even time can be softened, that what feels far is already reaching you. You look up again. The stars you see are not where they appear. Their light has bent, shifted, wandered, and yet here it is, unchanged, undeniable. You are always seeing what was, and yet the light arrives as what is. It knows no delay, only presence. So perhaps this is what the universe looks like to light. Not a path, not a field, but a perfect meeting place between motion and stillness. And as you close your eyes tonight, something in you glow, like, not brightly, but quietly. You feel a calm you didn't expect, because the light that touches your world isn't behind you. It's arriving right now. And if light travels straight, why does it bend? What happens when even this ageless traveller curves without touching? You've seen how light never grows old, how it travels endlessly, ageless and untouched. Now you wonder, why this speed? Why does light move exactly as fast as it does? And why can nothing move faster? You begin to feel that speed in the universe is not just a number. It is a limit that defines everything. A ceiling, a horizon, a quiet rule etched into the bones of space-time itself. And this rule, the speed of light, doesn't just govern motion. It shapes time, space, and the edge of what is real. You imagine pushing something faster and faster. A train, a car, a spacecraft. As it moves, its energy rises. But you notice something strange. The faster it goes, the harder it becomes to keep accelerating. As if the universe resists you. As if speed costs not just fuel, but something deeper. You realize that as your speed approaches that of light, time slows down for you. Space contracts, mass increases in this, and no matter how much energy you pour in, you cannot reach that final speed. You can only near it, never touch it. Light somehow skips this rule, but only because it was never bound by mass to begin with. The speed of light, approximately 299,792 kilometers per second, is not just fast, It is the fastest anything can go, but it's more than a record. It is a law. And it's strange, because no matter how you chase it, no matter how fast you move yourself, light always races away from you at that same speed. You could run alongside it at near light speed, and still, from your perspective, it would pull ahead at full speed. That's not an illusion, that's how space and time adjust to keep light speed unbroken. This constant changes everything. It means that time is not fixed, that distance is not absolute. What you measure, how long something takes, how far something is, depends on how you move. And the one thing that never changes, never bends, never slows or speeds up, is light. It becomes the anchor of the universe, the thing all motion must be measured against. The fixed ruler in a shifting world. You start to realize, if light didn't move exactly this way, the rules of reality would break. You think of Einstein now, how he sat and imagined riding a beam of light, how that thought, simple, strange, led him to discover that time and space are not separate, but one thing, space-time, and that space-time bends, stretches, curves, not arbitrarily, but according to how light moves. It is the shape of light's speed that gives the universe its geometry. A fast thing isn't just quick, it changes what now means, and nothing redefines now more than light. If you could somehow exceed the speed of light, you'd step outside cause and effect. Events might appear to happen before their causes. Time could fold. But the universe doesn't allow it. It keeps reality stable. It ensures that moments flow in one direction. Those actions lead to consequences, not confusion. The speed of light is the safeguard of the story, of sequence, of sense. And the more you learn about it, the more poetic it becomes. Light, the fastest thing, is also the most fragile. It can be bent by gravity, slowed in glass, and blocked by walls. Yet even when deflective, it keeps its inner rhythm. When it moves through a vacuum, it never stutters. And this perfect pace becomes more than speed. It becomes symmetry. A kind of music that space and time dance to. Everything that exists follows this rhythm. It governs how atoms behave, how clocks tick, how galaxies drift apart, even if you're built on it. The nerves in your body, the information in your mind, the signals that shape your thoughts, they all move at fractions of this limit, never faster. The world around you feels normal because light is setting the tempo, the delay between action and reaction, the way echoes reach your ears, the time it takes for a star to flicker in your sky. All of it echoes the same cosmic beat. So you slow your mind. You begin to feel the limit as law, not cage. It doesn't hold you back, it holds the universe together. You realize that without a maximum speed, there would be no minimum structure, no logic in movement, no stable timeline. Light, by refusing to be beaten, brings order to everything else. Not just because it moves fast, but because it moves faithfully. And then you look again at the stars. The space between them feels vast, endless, but it's shaped by this same rule, the way galaxies drift apart, the rate at which the universe expands. Even dark energy, quiet and strange, must obey this limit, because nothing, not even expansion, outruns the speed of light. If something did, it would slip from knowable reality. It would vanish beyond causal touch. Now you think of particles, those tiny specks smaller than atoms, some of them nearly massless, some carrying force. The ones that mediate interactions, photons, gluons, the rest all bound by the same ceiling. Light leads them not just in motion but in structure. Its speed doesn't just cap their journey, it defines what a journey even means. Without this, the rules of motion, of inertia, of push and pull, all of them depend on this invisible wall that light never breaks because it never has to. And yet, for all its precision, light is not aggressive. It doesn't shout, it doesn't push. It moves through space with grace, setting the boundary without enforcing it. Other things struggle and strain. Light simply is. The fastest thing in the universe doesn't need to try, its speed is its nature. And that nature defines yours. So the next time you hold your hand beneath the sun, or watch the last red warmth of the day fade beyond the horizon, you remember that light reached you at the limit. It didn't break any laws, it didn't stretch the rules, it followed the shape of space at the speed that shaped space in return. And suddenly you understand, the speed of light is not the barrier, it's the blueprint. It's what makes clocks tick, what makes signals arrive, what makes the universe know where and when to place things. It is the reason reality feels consistent. It is the limit that lets us make sense of change, and without it, even thought might scatter. But moving fast slows time. What happens to someone who moves that fast for real? What would it feel like to return from such a journey? You imagine two twins born together, raised side by side, and then separated not by space but by speed. One stays on Earth, the other boards a ship, racing close to the speed of light. Years pass. Or do they? When the traveller returns, they look younger. Not by magic, not by memory, but by motion. And you begin to feel how time itself bends, slows, softens, all depending on how you move. This isn't science fiction, it's relativity. And the twins prove it. They began the same heartbeat, same laugh, same face. But when one lifts off, their paths diverge. The twin on Earth lives through days and years, marking birthdays, watching seasons turn. Meanwhile, the traveller's world shrinks. Time for them begins to slow. Not in feeling, they still breathe, still dream, but in comparison. From their view, it all feels normal. But from Earth's perspective, they are aging more slowly, touched by less time. This is time dilation, a quiet truth of special relativity. As speed increases, time stretches. For a traveller moving near light speed, seconds lengthen, clocks tick slower. Aging delays not because anything malfunctions, but because this is how space-time works. Motion isn't just distance over time, it affects the shape of time itself, and that shape is curved by speed. You imagine the travelling twins sleeping in their ship. Outside, stars blur into arcs. New storms silence. But inside the ship, only moments pass. A day, perhaps. Maybe a week. They glance at a watch and see only hours. They look in a mirror and see the same face. Their body remains still in age, though space rushes by. Back on Earth, the twin waits. Decades pass, skin wrinkles, hair fades. They wonder what their siblings will look like. And when the ship returns, when the door opens and the traveller steps out, unchanged, the difference becomes a mirror. One has aged, the other has barely begun, and you realise this is not just theory, it is measurable, testable. We've flown clocks around the Earth at high speeds and compared them. The moving clocks tick slower, just by motion. Astronauts in orbit age a tiny bit less than those on the ground. It's not enough to notice yet, but the effect is real. Time moves differently depending on how you move through space. The closer you get to light speed, the deeper this effect becomes. At 90% of light speed, time slows by a factor of 2. At 99%, it stretches further. At 99.999%, 1 second for the traveller might be years on Earth. And at the very edge, at light speed itself, time would stop entirely. That's why photons don't age. That's why the traveller returns younger. But what does this feel like? You imagine yourself as the travelling twin, leaving Earth behind, the sky bending around you. Space narrows. Your world becomes sleek, almost two-dimensional. Time stretches behind you, compresses ahead. Every beat of your heart feels normal. But when you return, the world you knew is older. People have changed, trees have grown, oceans have shifted. And you? You have only just begun. This difference is not a flaw. It is a feature. The universe allows such journeys. They are built into its rules. And though we are not yet fast enough to live them fully, the rules are waiting. Silent, patient, consistent. Time, you learn, is not an absolute flow. It is personal, private, shaped by your path, your speed, your presence. And this changes how you think about time itself. No longer a single river carrying everyone in the same boat. It is more like a sea, where each boat moves at its own pace, over its own currents. The twin who travelled did not jump ahead. They simply floated differently, carried by motion into a slower rhythm of reality. You begin to wonder, what if both twins had moved? What if one raced faster, or toward a black hole? Gravity too can slow time. It bends space-time just like speed. A clock near a massive object ticks slower than one farther away, and so time can stretch from motion or from mass. Relativity makes them equivalent, acceleration and gravity, two names for one shape. So now, in your mind, the twins become a story. One of them shows you how time can stretch, the other how memory records it. You watch them embrace again, the older hugging the younger, not with surprise, but with a quiet knowing. They were never truly apart, only walking different paths through the same fabric. This isn't about paradises, it's about perspective. Each twin lived a real life. Each had their own measure of time. No one cheated, no one stepped. They just moved differently. And through that difference, time gave them different stories. The traveller looks up, maybe at the same stars, now changed in their constellations. They realise the Earth has turned many more times than they have. Their youth remains, but the world around them has leapt forward. The air smells the same, but the people, the places, the context, all aged without them. And you think, time isn't just what passes, it's what connects. The travelling twin may have kept their youth, but they traded moments, missed birthdays, unwritten letters. Time dilation preserves the body, but not always the experience. And so it becomes more than a scientific truth. It becomes a reflection of what it means to live. You return to yourself now, lying still, no rockets, no ships, and yet you carry speed. The Earth spins, the planet orbits. Even at rest you move through space, and though your motion is small, its story is universal. Time is not something you fall through. It is something shaped by how you move, and by what you choose. So as you breathe in, and then breathe out, you remember the twins. One aged slowly, one aged fast, but both lived truly, and when they met again they didn't argue with time, they simply accepted its shape. And now you wonder, if motion can stretch time, what does that mean for the clocks we trust? Do all ticking hands move the same when we move through the world? You sit still, but not truly still. The Earth spins, it orbits the sun, the galaxy swirls around something dark and heavy. Even in sleep you are in motion, but your motion is slow, gentle. The clocks around you tick evenly. Time feels smooth, but you wonder, what if you moved faster? Not a little faster, much faster, toward the speed that defines the edge of everything. What would happen to your clocks then? Imagine a simple clock, a beam of light bouncing between two mirrors, tick with every bounce. Now put that clock on a ship moving fast. Not just fast, but near the speed of light. To the person on the ship, nothing has changed, the light still bounces up and down, but to someone watching from outside, the ship moves forward. And so the light must travel a longer path, diagonally between mirrors. That path takes more time. The outside observer sees the clock ticking more slowly. Time stretches, not because the clock malfunctions, but because reality bends with speed. You feel the softness of this idea that time is not stiff. It is flexible, a river that flows differently depending on how you step into it. The faster you move, the more the river yields. This is not a metaphor. It is how the universe behaves. As you approach the speed of light, everything changes. Your heartbeat slows, your thoughts slow. Not to you. You still feel normal. But to everyone else, your time dilates. You imagine sitting in that ship now, drifting near light speed. The stars outside stretch into lines. The space ahead flattens. You float, but the world outside rushes. You check your wristwatch. It ticks softly, regularly. But back on Earth, clocks spin fast. Months pass, then years, while inside your cabin only days move. You have slowed time not by touching it, but by moving through it differently. And what about the people watching you? To them your ship glows faintly blue as it races toward them, then red as it passes. The colour of your light stretches with your speed. Blue shift, red shift. Even as your time drags behind, they see you age slowly, move slowly, as if wrapped in molasses. They don't know your thoughts remain quick, your heartbeat steady. To them you seem paused, you realize that motion is not just movement through space. It is motion through time. The faster you go, the more you shift how time treats you. And because nothing can move faster than light, time never reverses. It only softens. Near the speed of light, the fabric of now begins to change shape. But it isn't only your watch, it's every process in your body. Your cells divide more slowly, your metabolism stretches, the atoms in your bones vibrate less often. Not because you are malfunctioning, but because all physical laws run on time's rhythm. And when time changes, everything changes with it. The beauty is, you wouldn't notice. You would live each moment fully, unaware that outside your ship time was racing ahead. The same way you do not notice the Earth's motion now. You live in your frame, your world, and from your view nothing has changed. That's the strange comfort of relativity. It allows difference without contradiction. This isn't about illusion, it's about reality allowing multiple truths. Both the fast traveller and the person on Earth are correct in their own time. Their clocks are real, their measures are valid, but when they meet again, their experiences will differ. The traveller will have aged less, their journey in life, though longer in distance. And this too is part of the universe's quiet logic. Now you return to the light clock. The simplicity of it, a beam bouncing between mirrors, a ticking heartbeat of the cosmos. You see how speed tilts its path, making each tick take longer. You imagine stretching this clock to the edge of light speed. The beam travels sideways so much it never gets the chance to bounce. The ticks never come, the clock stops. Time stops. That's why light itself doesn't age. Its internal clock, if it had one, would be paused, frozen in perfect travel, and now everything clicks. You understand why nothing can go faster. If you tried to push a particle beyond light speed, time would have to flow backward, cause before effect. But the universe forbids this. Light marks the edge of time's direction. The final ceiling, a limit that keeps all stories moving forward. You think of astronauts in orbit. Their speed is high and their gravity is low. Both slow their tiny amounts, but measurable. Their clocks return home with fractions of seconds missing. Time travel? Perhaps. But not like stories say. This is slower, realer, woven into the structure of being. And the more you understand this, the gentler it feels. You no longer see time as something strict. You see it as something sensitive. It listens to how you move, how you travel, how you sit and breathe. Every second is yours, shaped quietly by your speed. So you breathe in and hold it, and breathe out. You are moving now, not just because Earth spins, but because you are alive. Your heart beats, your body shifts, and through all of this, time responds. It flows around you like wind over wings, adjusting, whispering, stretching. And you wonder, what about clocks in light? If everything slows near light speed, what do photons see? Do they see anything? Do they feel the journey they take? Or is it all stillness, an eternal now from launch to landing? And so you ask gently, if time bends and motion slows it, how does light itself help us measure time? Can something that never ages become the thing that tells us when? Light moves through the universe untouched by seconds, unaware of days, but somehow it becomes the tool you use to tell when. You check your watch, glance at a phone screen, notice the movement of shadows. Each of these things depends on light, reflecting, bouncing, travelling. And yet light has no clock of its own, no heartbeat, no memory. So how does something that doesn't feel time help you count it? You begin with a clock, not one with gears or ticking hands, but a beam of light bouncing between two mirrors. This is the simplest clock physics allows, the light clock. Each bounce is a tick, back and forth, again and again. The time between bounces is consistent, predictable, unchanging. You watch this clock in stillness, and it keeps a perfect rhythm, not because the light feels time, but because its speed never changes. This constant becomes a foundation, not of time itself, but of how we measure it. Then you set this clock in motion. As it moves, the beam's path stretches. From the outside, it takes longer for the light to return to each mirror. The ticks come more slowly. Time to the moving clock stretches. And here you feel it again, the dance between motion and time. But the light itself has not changed. It still moves at the same speed. It does not notice the longer path. It does not notice anything at all. It just moves, unthinking, timeless, and yet its journey defines the rhythm of the clock. You begin to see that light doesn't measure time by experiencing it. It defines time by creating structure, motion that is always the same. When you build a clock, you look for something that moves in a repeatable way, a swinging pendulum, a vibrating atom, a cycling gear. But light is different. It isn't shaped by time. It is the shape that time uses. It is not marked by change. It is the ruler against which change can be known. You feel the quiet genius of this, that the very thing which is outside of time becomes the measure by which time flows. You cannot follow light as a traveller, but you can use its behaviour to map the terrain. In this way, light becomes not a participant in time, but a frame around it. Its speed defines how quickly anything can happen. Its path defines what events can connect. Its rhythm becomes the metronome the universe hums to. Think of GPS. Satellites orbit the Earth, each carrying a clock tuned by the motion of light. Their signals move at light speed, and that speed defines how long it takes for messages to arrive. A small change in speed would lead to massive errors. But light is faithful. Its pace never shifts. And so every time you check a map or send a message or call a friend, you are using light to measure distance. And in doing so, you measure time. You imagine standing outside at dusk, watching the last light of the day shift across the sky. You do not see time moving. You see light arriving, and from that arrival, you sense the hour. Morning has its angle, evening its colour. Even the way sunlight warms your skin carries a kind of time. Not in seconds, but in sensation. You measure time not just by numbers, but by how light touches the world. And so you begin to see light as more than motion, more than energy. It is a messenger of time structure, not by counting, but by keeping consistency. It does not pause, it does not drift, it moves always and always the same. You build your clocks around it, your physics. You even define the second by how many times a specific kind of light vibrates. Microwave light from a cesium atom, resonating at exactly the same rhythm again and again. Still you wonder, if light doesn't age, doesn't slow, doesn't change, what is it really marking? Isn't a clock supposed to tick forward? But that's the beauty. A perfect clock does not change. It repeats, it holds, it defines. And light, by moving forward without aging, becomes the perfect medium for marking what does. The universe flows forward. Light does not. And that difference becomes useful. You realize now that every camera, every telescope, every microscope, they all rely on light speed, the time it takes for light to bounce, reflect, return. In radar, in fiber optics, in deep space communication, light becomes not just a carrier but a clock. It helps you measure delay, predict return, calculate change. Every motion becomes visible because of how light moves. Not fast, not slow, but at the precise piece reality requires, you return to that light clock, just a beam and two mirrors, nothing more. And yet from that you learn how time bends, how speed stretches it, how the path of a photon, unfeeling and silent, becomes a story told in distance and delay. You realize that the ticking of a watch is not just about gears, it is about comparison, one process measured against another. And light being constant becomes the ideal reference. So you carry this thought with you, that light, by never aging, becomes the most reliable witness. A photon can travel billions of years across space, never changing, never slowing. And in that journey it tells you when a galaxy moved, when a star exploded, when the first echoes of the universe began. It does not record time. It becomes the path by which time becomes visible. You lie back and think of all the places light is ticking. In your room, in the sky, in the pulses of distant stars. You begin to feel that every shimmer, every glow, is part of a deeper rhythm. A rhythm not heard but felt. not aged but constant. And from this rhythm, time is made real, not as a sound, not as a number, but as a way to move through change. You are never far from time, because you are never far from light. Even in the dark, it reflects faintly from memory, from the edges of silence, and through its quiet constancy you find your way, not because light ages, but because everything else does, and light helps you know by how much. But if light helps us mark time, then how does space respond to it? Can something without weight still feel the pull of gravity? You imagine a beam of light travelling across open space, steady, calm, unchanging. But now you place something in its path, something massive, a star, a planet, a black hole, and you watch, expecting the light to defy, to collide, to stop. But it doesn't. It doesn't break. It doesn't resist. It bends, softly, quietly, as if the space itself tilts beneath it, and in a way, it does. Gravity pulls on everything with mass. It holds moons to planets, and planets to stars. You've always felt gravity as weight, as a downward tug, but light has no mass. It isn't pulled in the way you are. So why does it bend? Why does it curve around the sun? Why do distant galaxies distort the light that passes near them? The answer, you learn, is not that gravity barbs light, but that gravity reshapes the space light travels through. You begin to feel this deeply, that gravity is not a force pulling things down, it is the warping of space-time itself. A planet curves the space around it, a star deepens that curve, a black hole stretches it into something bottomless, and light, ever faithful to the path of least resistance, follows the curves. It isn't being pulled, it's moving straight, but space is no longer straight. Imagine laying a marble on a trampoline. If you press a heavy ball into the centre, the marble rolls inward, not because it's drawn by a string, but because the surface has changed shape. Light behaves the same way. It moves forward, always forward. But when the fabric of space curves, light's straight path becomes curved too. This is how it bends, not by force, but by following the shape of reality. You recall the famous experiment starlight bending around the sun during an eclipse. Astronomers looked at stars near the sun's edge and found them shifted, as if their light had curved on the way. Not an illusion, not the atmosphere, but gravity itself, guiding the path. Einstein predicted it, and nature confirmed it. Light, though massless, is still obedient to space, and when space bends, so does the light now. You imagine a black hole, not just a curve, but a collapse, a place where space-time folds so deeply that even light cannot escape. The light doesn't slow, it doesn't vanish. It reaches a point where every path it could take loops back inward. It tries to leave, but all roads lead down, and so it remains, trapped not by chains, but by geometry. The event horizon is not a wall, it is a tipping point where space folds inward entirely. But even near this edge, light still tries. It circles black holes in narrow rings, like dancers on a wire. These orbits, photon spheres, are delicate, a tiny nudge of the light escapes outward or falls inward, never to return. You think of these places not as prisons, but as mirrors of curvature, so sharp that even light can't keep straight. And yet outside that edge, light always finds a way. It curves, but it moves. It bends, but it goes on. You begin to understand something quiet and profound. Light doesn't resist, it adapts. Where space bends, it follows. Where gravity deep, by watching how it bends, you learn where mass lies. You find hidden galaxies. You detect invisible planets. You glimpse dark matter through light's behavior, not because you see it directly, but because light tells you where it must be. This is gravitational lensing, when massive objects bend the light from things behind them, creating arcs, rings and mirages in the sky. One galaxy hides another behind it, but light curves around, reaching your eyes from many angles. The background stretches, the image distorts, and yet the message arrives, bent, not broken. You lie still and think of the light that reaches you, from the stars, from quasars, from the early universe. Some of it has travelled for billions of years, curving through valleys of gravity, brushing past massive halos, weaving through the warps of time. And yet here it is, touching your world, not torn, not lost, just reshaped. Even in daily life, gravity leaves its touch. GPS satellites account for it. Their clocks run differently, not just because of speed, but because they are farther from Earth's mass. Higher altitude means weaker gravity, and that slight difference, that slower rhythm, must be corrected. Otherwise your maps would drift, your signals would blur. Light once again reminds you where gravity is stronger, where time moves differently. And so you begin to trust it. Light doesn't lie. It cannot fake a path. It only follows what space allows. And through this honesty, it teaches you about the hidden depths of the universe, where matter clusters, where black holes hide, where galaxies tug on their neighbours invisibly. You don't see the pull, but you see the unseen in soft arcs, and still, light remains unchanged in itself. It bends, but its speed remains. Its frequency might shift, toward blue as it climbs out of gravity, toward red as it falls inward, but it always obeys the rhythm of space. It sings the shape of the cosmos as it travels. It does not choose where to go, but it always arrives truthfully. You begin to feel that light is both gentle and firm. It never fights, but it never fails. It bends with gravity, not because it must, but because that is the only path space offers. It flows like water around a stone, but it remembers the shape of the stone long after it passes. This memory becomes vision, and from vision you learn. So you lie back once more, closing your eyes. You feel the pull of gravity holding you to the ground. You know the stars above curve the space you live in, and the light between them does not challenge that curve. It honours it. It really rides it.
And through that graceful glide, he honours it, and never rhythm a challenge.
And you wonder, if light can curve through gravity's arms, then where did it begin? What was the first light, and how far has it come to find us now? You imagine darkness, not night, not shadow, a deeper dark. A time before stars, before planets, before anything had shape. The universe was once a dense, blazing fog, so hot, so crowded that light could not move freely. Every time it tried, it was trapped, caught, scattered. The early cosmos was not empty. It was full, thick, opaque, and light, though present, was silent, muffled inside the chaos of creation. A nearly perfect background, not because it is empty, but because it is filled with the memory of the beginning. No matter where you stand, the light looks the same. That sameness tells you that the early universe was smooth, not chaotic, not lopsided, balanced in a way only nature could achieve. You feel the stillness of it. Patience. This light has travelled for over 13 billion years, and still it shines, not bright, not insistently, but faithfully. It does not carry images, it carries temperature. Subtle variation, ripples, like wrinkles in silk. And those ripples are the seeds of everything. Galaxies, stars, planets. Every structure began in those soft ancient bumps in the glow. Scientists have mapped this background. Satellites like Kobe, WMAP and Planck have traced its texture. They've turned that whisper into an image. Blue spots where it's cooler, red where it's slightly warmer. The differences are minuscule, millionths of a degree, but from those whispers, the structure of the cosmos unfolds. You can hold that map in your hands and know that it's the closest thing to seeing the birth of everything. And here's what you learn. The universe did not begin in chaos. It began in balance. A balance so fine that if the temperature had been slightly different, nothing might have formed. No stars, no galaxies, just drifting gas, or collapsing into nothing. The echo of the first light carries more than age. It carries the precision of a beginning that allows for futures like yours. You sit with that idea, that the warmth you feel from a sunbeam is not the first light, that your candle, your lamp, your stars, they came later. They are echoes too, but distant ones. The first light was universal, shared by all things, equally. It was the first to touch everything, and in that way it still touches you. You imagine lying beneath the sky, listening, not with your ears but with instruments, telescopes tuned not to colour but to temperature. They hear what you cannot. They pick up the long sigh of light stretched over time. This background is not a sound, but it behaves like an echo, soft, persistent, fading only with distance, never with age. And yet even echoes fade eventually. One day the cosmic background will be so stretched by the expansion of space that it will pass beyond detection. It will become colder, dimmer. The first light will not vanish, but it will hide. And future beings living in a far colder cosmos may not even know it was ever there. So you feel a quiet responsibility to remember it now, to honour the echo while you can still hear it. It is not just a light, it is a story, a record of the moment the universe opened its eyes, a moment when motion became possible, when light began to travel, and because of that journey you are here. You think back to earlier chapters, light's constancy, its speed, its refusal to age. And now, with this ancient light, you see those truths unfold. This photon, this gentle wave, has travelled untouched for billions of years. It has passed stars and silence, gravity and dust, and still it arrives. That's how you know light doesn't just move, it remembers. Not in my mind, in motion. And yet outside that edge, light always finds a way. It curves, but it moves. It bends, but it goes on. You begin to understand something quiet and profound. Light doesn't resist, it adapts. Where space bends, it follows. Where gravity deep, by watching how it bends, you learn where mass lies. You find hidden galaxies. You detect invisible planets. You glimpse dark matter through light's behavior. Not because you see it directly, but because light tells you where it must be. This is gravitational lensing, when massive objects bend the light from things behind them, creating arcs, rings and mirages in the sky. One galaxy hides another behind it, but light curves around, reaching your eyes from many angles. The background stretches, the image distorts, and yet the message arrives, bent, not broken. You lie still and think of the light that reaches you, from the stars, from quasars, from the early universe, and so in a quiet moment you realize every time you look into the darkness, you are looking into the past, and the darkest part of the sky is not empty. It is full of ancient waves, still moving, still glowing, not with heat, not with brightness, but with the soft presence of a beginning that never truly ended. But even this first light has something strange about it. Why is time's path shaped that way? And could it ever flow another way? You sit quietly, watching the moments pass, the way your breath comes and goes, the way a shadow lengthens across the floor. Each second follows the one before it. You remember what just happened, you imagine what might come. But you cannot swap them, you cannot reverse them. Time, it seems, has a direction, always forward. And now you wonder, why? The laws of physics don't seem to mind. On paper they work the same whether time moves forward or back. An orbit can be traced in either direction. A particle can be rewound. The formulas are symmetrical, balanced, revertible. But your life isn't. You drop a cup, it shatters, it never leaps whole into your hand again. Heat flows outward, not in. Light spreads, it doesn't unspread. You age, you do not unage. Something beyond the equations gives time its arrow. You begin to feel that the answer lives not in the laws themselves, but in how those laws unfold together, in the dance of order and disorder. The word you hear is entropy. It is the measure of randomness, of possibility, of how many ways something can be arranged. And the universe quietly prefers to move from less to more, from order to disorder, not because it's broken, but because that's what probabilities allow. You imagine an egg, whole, smooth, balanced. There is only one way for it to be perfect, but there are countless ways for it to be cracked, scrambled, scattered. So when it falls, the chances of it breaking are simply greater, and once broken, the chances of it unbreaking are near zero. This is entropy. This is why time feels like it moves forward, not because it must, but because it's overwhelmingly likely. Light plays a role here too. Every moment it carries heat away from warm things. A sunbeam touches a wall, warms it slightly. That warmth disperses. The molecules inside begin to jitter, and that jitter spreads. Over time, the energy smooths out, and when energy spreads, entropy grows. Each interaction moves the world one tiny step forward, not in space, but in time's direction. Even your body is an engine of entropy. You breathe in structure, you breathe out randomness, you eat order, you release warmth. Life exists in this flow, riding the edge between stability and change. And as you live, your body becomes a record of moments that cannot be undone, a memory etched by time's passing. You think of ice melting, a simple shift from solid to liquid, from structure to movement. The process is quiet, predictable, and irreversible. The water does not freeze itself spontaneously. It needs help, a colder environment, an energy pull. Left alone, nature prefers motion. Motion, in turn, prefers time's forward pull. And yet the rules haven't changed. You could reverse every particle's path and it would look correct. But in the real world, in the world with millions and billions of moving parts, the reverse story becomes impossible. Not forbidden, just too unlikely to occur. Time's asymmetry lives not in harsh rules, but in gentle statistics, in the way systems nudge toward complexity, toward diffusion, toward forgetfulness. You close your eyes and feel this. The difference between a page unwritten and a story already told. The page has possibilities, the story has a sequence. You cannot unread the words. You cannot return to the moment before they were formed. And so it is with time. It is not a line on a graph. It is the unfolding of what has already happened, step by step, never repeated. You look again at the stars. Their light has taken billions of years to arrive. Not a single beam returns. Once emitted, it travels. That is its nature. Light does not curl back. It does not hesitate. It reveals the past by moving forward. And in doing so, it becomes part of time's asymmetry. Not by resisting it, but by following it completely. And so you begin to realize that time's one-way motion is not a flaw, it is a foundation. It is what lets change be real, what lets stories unfold, what allows growth. Without it, you could not choose, could not learn, could not be. Time moves forward because the universe remembers where it's been and lets go of the rest. Even the atoms in your body were once part of stars, formed, scattered, gathered again. The direction of time is written in that journey, from fusion to flight, from dust to breath. You are made of things that have followed this current for eons. You are not outside the time's arrow. You are shaped by it. And yet you wonder, is this direction permanent? Could it ever reverse? Could the universe cool, collapse, rewind? The truth is, we don't know. Perhaps in the far future, when entropy is stretched to its peak, when all stars have gone dark and all energy is spread thin, time itself might soften, might lose its grip, but for now time holds strong, not as a chain, but as a gentle push forward. So you lie still, breathing evenly, you feel your heartbeat, steady, rhythmic, forward. Every beat is a steps, every breath a passage. The past behind you, the future ahead. Time is not rushing, it is unfolding, and you are drifting through it. Not because you are pulled, but because this is the way the world moves. But as you drift through time's flow, one question lingers. If everyone lives in the now, why do our nows sometimes disagree? Could light have something to do with how we define the present? You sit quietly and think, this is now, this very breath, this beat. But even as you name it, it slips into memory. The present doesn't stand still, it flickers, and yet you live by it. You plan, you decide, you feel, all anchored to this soft concept of now. But what is it really? And how can something so central to your life be so hard to hold? Maybe across a star. You wave, they wave back. But there is a delay. Tiny if they're near, immense if they're far. You say now, and they say it too, but not at the same time. Light must travel between you, and that journey takes time. You begin to feel that now is not universal. It is local, personal, bound by distance and by light. Imagine two people in space, floating gently apart. One flashes a beam of the other sees it moments later. But for each of them, now feels immediate, whole, and yet their moments don't match. Their present is not shared, and here is the twist. Both are right. In the world of relativity, each observer carries their own clock, their own frame, their own timeline. There is no absolute now. You find this strange at first, then freeing. Time isn't like a row of synchronized clocks. It's more like a collection of drifting lanterns, each lighting its own path. And light is what moves between them, slowly, steadily, carrying messages from one present to another. But it can never do so instantly. It never outruns time. It brings connection, not simultaneity. So you start to picture now, not as a slice of time shared by all, but as a surface that bends and tilts depending on how you move. Sit still, and you're now aligned with others nearby. Move fast, and your now shifts. A fast-moving ship tilts its surface of simultaneity, its own version of now, relative to someone on Earth. Events that are now to the traveller might be then, or later, to someone else. Not illusion, no error, just relativity in motion. You realize light defines the edges of these differences. The speed of light sets the ultimate speed for information. You cannot know something happened until light reaches you. That delay, however small, separates knowledge from reality. And in that space, the illusion of now is born. You feel present, but you are always seeing a little into the past, a moment already gone. Even your own perception lags behind reality. Light enters your eyes, signals travel down nerves your brain interprets. There is always a delay. Milliseconds, yes, but still there. You are not experiencing the present, you're experiencing the recent. Your now is a stitched-together version of what just was. But this stitching is beautiful. It allows the world to feel continuous, seamless. Your brain smooths over the delay. I guess. It fills in. It creates a flowing present out of flickers. Without it, the illusion is not a flaw. It is a grace. Without it, the world would feel fractured. You would be lost in lag. Instead, you are wrapped in the feeling of now, even if it's not perfectly true. You look up at the stars. Every one of them shows you a different past. A star 10 light years away shines with light that left a decade ago. A galaxy 1,000,000 light years away shows you what it looked like before humans existed. You see the universe not as it is, but as it was. And yet from your perspective, it all feels present. This is the cosmic illusion of now. Stitched from distant light, moving at a finite pace, you begin to understand that now is not a moment on a master clock. It is a surface drawn through space-time, unique to each observer, a choice shaped by speed and position. This means the idea of a universal now, one single present moment, does not exist. The universe does not agree on what is happening at once. It only agrees on what happens when something touches something else. Events are local. The shared nows arise only through contact, through light. And yet despite this, life goes on. People meet, clocks tick, events unfold in seeming unison. Because for most of your daily life, the differences are too small to matter. Light moves fast enough. Distances are small enough. The illusion works. But holds, it serves. But at the edges of in deep space at high speeds, the illusion begins to crack. And through those cracks, you glimpse something stranger. Something more profound. You begin to think about how different beings would experience time. A satellite orbiting fast is different now than you do. A muon, a tiny particle moving near light speed, experiences time so slowly that it seems to skip through existence. A photon, as you've seen, does not experience time at all. Its entire journey is one moment. It hasn't happened before, no after, no now. So where does this leave you? Floating between the speed of stillness and the edge of light, experiencing time not as it is, but as it feels, carrying a private present, one not shared completely with anyone else. And that is a humbling thought. It means that your moment is yours alone, and so is everyone else's. You live in overlapping worlds, each moving through their own present, stitched together by light. And this light, ever faithful, is what gives structure to these shifting nows. It does not define the present, but it defines what can be known, when it can be known, and how quickly it can be shared. The illusion of now is made possible because light never stops. It travels always at the same pace, making your stitched reality smooth enough to live in. So you breathe again and feel time passing, though you know it's not quite what it seems. You lie still, but you drift forward. Your thoughts reach into the future, your senses echo the past, and in the middle, your illusion of now floats, gentle, personal, and quietly unique. And still you wonder, if light always arrives after a delay, what would happen if something tried to move faster than light itself? Could time break? You followed light across time, through gravity and speed, through the soft illusion of now and the silence of the first glow. You've drifted near the speed of light, watched clocks slow, and stood still beneath the cosmic echo. And now, as this journey draws to a close, you find yourself not at an ending, but at a threshold. Because light never truly ends. It fades, stretches, bends, and slips beyond reach. But it does not vanish. Like memory, like thought, it lingers. You may not always see it, but you feel it, in warmth and colour, in the quiet presence of the world unfolding moment by moment. You understand now that time does not tick, it flows. That now is not fixed, but gently floating. That light is not just what lets you see, but what lets the universe be seen at all. And in that seeing, in that gentle glow that travels from galaxies to your eye, wonder begins. Even in the dark, you know that light is still on its way, that somewhere a beam born in a distant star is moving toward you, unchanged, unnoticed, but coming. And in that motion there is peace, there is patience, there is beauty that doesn't need to be chased. So you close your eyes and rest. You've walked the line between science and stillness, between knowledge and night. And now you carry the quiet truth of light with you, not to solve it, not to catch it, just to feel its presence. Soft, endless, and always arriving.